Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. If you're watching this, you can only be here for one reason. It's a brand new episode of Major Previews, brought to you by Comic Book Click, where we look deep into the solicitations, open up our third eye, and find what is going to be the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest comics to come into the medium. As always, I am joined by Alex Garcia, aka The Cog. The comic OG is in the house, and we've made it all the way to June. Fantastic. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, but the only thing that sucked was trying to just settle on 3 picks, because this is another one of those months.
Yeah, this is getting crazy. I'm like still reading the picks from last month, like the Fantastic Four stuff that's come out, the Godzilla stuff that's come out, and usually, it can be rough on a regular day to record one of these because of so much of the good stuff that's coming out. But we're also dipping into the summer. And just like movies, we get summer blockbusters in comics. DC's currently going through its Summer of Superman, which I believe was one of the picks we discussed last month. Yep. As that continues to grow, One World Under Doom is still firing on all cylinders. And we have 2 blockbuster movies that they're going to be setting up stories and books for. Fantastic Four and Superman. Just read Thing Number 1, which was one of my picks from last month. Fantastic stuff there. So yeah, not only do we continue to get good books, but after reviewing them, we're picking good books. So we're going to continue that. We're going to continue that tradition here on this episode. We'll be looking and picking books for June of 2025, the halfway point of the year, and there's no shortage of good stories to cover. But I'm going to go ahead and go first, and I'm going to pick something that's kind of been bubbling for a very long time, something that's been kind of teased for a very long time, but Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion number 1, which comes out on June 4th of 2025, written by Dennis Camp and Cody Ziegler, art by Jonas Scharf. But this is the very first crossover event in the Ultimate Universe. The universe that kind of has been setting Marvel on fire in good ways, but it's the universe everyone's talking about. Everyone's raving about Spider-Man. I'm loving the Ultimates. Black Panther continues to do inventive stuff, and I just love how different Ultimate X-Men is in comparison to everything else. And now we're setting up an event because right in Ultimate Invasion, there was a moment where the maker offered to take Miles to his custom-made Ultimate Universe, seeing as they were the only 2 survivors of the incursion that destroyed their universe. And all of that seemingly is coming back around. So in the solicitations, it says, Miles Morales caught in the middle of a universal collision. 2 of today's most exciting writers, Dennis Camp and Cody Ziegler, join forces for an adventure that will change Miles Morales and the Ultimate Universe forever. Drawn by rising star Jonas Scharf, the brilliantly moody artist who brought you the Ultimate Universe 1 year in and Dark X-Men. Before the maker remade Earth 6160, he left Miles Morales the key to reach his new universe. And when Miles' baby sister Billy uses it to travel to the Ultimate Universe, it's up to Spider-Man to save her. But the Ultimate Universe is never safe for any Spider-Man. When the Spot attacks, Miles will have to team up with an all-new Peter Parker, and that's just the start of his journey across 6160. So this will be our Miles hanging out with Old Man Pete, Dad Pete. Spoiler alert, but there's another man rocking a Spider-Man suit in that universe currently, a black Spider-Man suit. So there's going to be some fun team-ups there. But yeah, from what I know, from what I've seen, the key, quote unquote, to the universe is that paper that he gave, or he was going to give Miles, like his card or whatever. Right. And I think he throws it in the trash can. And that's possibly how we get his sister to come through.
Yeah.
Knowing the synopsis and kind of dealing with these characters, I wonder how much of this was planned around the release of supposedly Beyond the Spider-Verse. That would have been almost perfect to line up with all this kind of stuff. The Spot, like bringing the Spot back, seems very on the nose with the Miles story, who's going through the multiverse. But this is gonna sound hyperbolic, but I just want somebody in Earth 616 to stand witness to what the maker is doing because no one knows. No
Right.
one from our main universe knows. Does
No.
this mean when Miles goes back, he's gonna tell people what's up on the up and up? Is he gonna come back? Is he gonna find his way back when we be stuck over there in this mainline universe? But yeah, it's a recipe we know, crossover events and all this kind of stuff. But obviously, the ingredients are way different than they've ever been. And I think they waited just enough time to allow all the different aspects of this Ultimate Universe to bubble before they, push them all together. And we're going to get bigger crossover events when the Maker finally comes out of the city. That's going to be the big thing that we're all waiting for. But I like this little tease here, and I really wonder what it sets up for the future of the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. A lot is going on here. The Ultimate Universe already is headed. It's 6 months away from the Maker coming back. So now getting Miles to unwillingly have to accept the Maker's invitation to come over to this new Ultimate Universe is going to be a lot of fun. And seeing him team up with this new Peter Parker, and I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say it. People should know by now. It's Peter's son in the Ultimate Universe, who's the black suited Spider-Man, seemingly like a Venom, but not really. But sure. And this incursion is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope it matters because. Did you read Spider-Men, the second series?
I don't think I read the second series. No. Did that end up like they wake up from a dream kind of situation there, or what?
No, right? No. Well, and that just to quickly talk about that. And that one ends with the villain of that series being the 616 Miles Morales. He finds a way to get back to the original Ultimate Universe.
Okay.
And that's how it ends. It seemed like. Because that was right before Bendis left to go to DC. It seemed like that was Bendis' way of saying, look, here, I'm giving you guys back the Ultimate Universe and do whatever you want. But then Jonathan Hickman and team come along and go, yeah, we don't want that Ultimate Universe. We're going to
We're making another one. Yeah.
But is this going to allow that to come back somehow? Are they going to play with that? Are they going to, or is, like you said, is this going to end potentially with him going back and being like, hey, guys, remember how the Maker escaped and we have no idea what he's doing? Yeah, here's what he's doing. So, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun, this series.
I forgot that our Illuminati would be pretty much on at least interested in knowing what the hell happened because he bounced out. And he was like, I'm looking at you, Reed. Remember? Because Reed was like, I should have killed you when I had the chance.
Right. I mean, they all thought we have him captured. He's locked away, blah, blah, blah. And the whole time he's sitting in this jail cell just like, I am now officially bored. I'm going to go make my own universe. That's what makes the Maker such a great villain. He's such a great villain, and I cannot wait for him to come back. And this is going to be just another fun key in all of what's happening in the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, I know it's a gimmick, right? I've been reading long enough to know that these new universes are a gimmick, but it is very refreshing to come in on something at the ground floor and watch it build to the point that it does. There's a difference, right? There's so many other big events that have happened. Like there's several giant-sized stories that are coming out right now with Kamala, but like I'm not currently following that right now, so I don't have the heartstrings that I would for this, where I've watched these characters build up, grow, get their little origin boxes, and become heroes. So for new readers, there's still a lot of time to catch up between now and then to read through these Ultimate stories and get ready for this Ultimate incursion. And it's be the first of many, in my opinion. This is not going to be the first person to cross over and hang out over there, but picking someone as wide-eyed as Miles, that's like, oh my God, I got to tell somebody about this is a really smart. It's a really smart pick for a character, and something tells me that you have a really smart pick for your pick for this month.
Well, I kind of gave a hint if you're looking behind me, right?
Really?
But speaking of huge events and big names, right? We already talked about Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man, even though Dennis Camp, who we all love, is doing the incursion stuff with Cody Ziegler. We got Jonathan Hickman rolling in with Federico Vicenti and Ivan Coelho to do Imperium. And guys, Marvel has really been hush-hush about this miniseries. It's only going to be 4 issues, but they're going to be 4 big issues. where he's redoing the cosmic landscape. And this, when I hear that, it reminds me of Annihilation, when they brought Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning in to just redo all the cosmic characters. So with Jonathan Hickman rolling in, no diss on Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. I love Annihilation. I love Annihilation Conquest. I love everything that came from that. But when you throw a name like Jonathan Hickman on something like this, you know you're about to get something amazing, you know? And so with giving him the keys to not to just basically reinterpret the cosmic landscape of Marvel, it's going to take place in the future. But how much of that future is going to relate back to the past, where it's all going to start, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this. Jonathan Hickman, we all know, knows how to rebuild the universe. He did it with the X-Men. He did it with Fantastic Four. He's done it with Ultimate Spider-Man. So I have no doubt that this guy is going to tell just this epic story that's bringing in, you got a Hulk empire. He's bringing in the Shi'ar. He's got the Nova Corps. He's bringing in the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's bringing in, I guarantee you, probably every herald that's ever been a Herald of Galactus. This is going to be a story so massive in scope. We got a taste of what he can do with a big star story where he was doing, I don't think it's over yet, where he's doing the Avengers versus Aliens.
Yeah, he's still doing that, yeah.
I feel like we're getting a taste of that, and I'm almost hoping they kind of integrate some of that into this. Like, I'd love to find out, after we defeated all the aliens, this is what happened. Kind of
this is the next step. Yeah.
This is the next step, right? And so seeing what he's doing there, and I can't wait to see the story he's telling here, because I've only seen sketches. I generally try to avoid spoilers. You know how I am. So I don't know a lot about this except for the covers and some of the art. And I just know with Jonathan Hickman doing it, it's going to be just this massive story that's going to go down all these winding paths and just end up kicking us all in the teeth. And I can't wait for it.
Yeah, that guy is amazing when it comes to world building. And it's funny that you say the story set in the future, because I find that to be one of Hickman's also bit of a narrative tools that he likes to use, is this foreshadowing, right? Showing us Nimrod and the far-flung future in Krakoa before we even got there, right? Teasing premonitions, teasing things of the future, the ticking clock of the maker in the city. Like he plays a lot with time and when things are going to drop and how things build up and stuff. I really dig that sort of narrative tool that he uses. One could say in this, utopia of Marvel media that we're currently consuming, that they've been quite negligible on the cosmic front. We have Guardians, and that's been kind of cool. Captain Marvel, I feel like it's a bit uneven. Those two films, I don't think they necessarily, are downright amazing, even though they're serviceable. But yeah, completely leaving Nova off the table, Annihilus off the table. Fantastic Four hasn't been around to do their spacefaring, their spacefaring stuff. There's so many different. We just started to deal with the Kree and Skrull stuff, like in the Marvels a little bit, and in
Right.
Secret Invasion a little bit. But there's so much of a different ecosystem out there and so many different heroes out there. And we say this often, but I believe that they need a modern, because Annihilation is coming on 20 years, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so they need a modern telling, a modern reintroduction to a lot of these characters, these factions, these teams, these races, these planets, for new readers, so that there's a bigger landscape to start covering some of these characters. I think it's a downright travesty that we haven't seen Nova. Like, that's just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
There's been rumors and mutterings. I thought they should have done it. I thought we were going to get this all the way back in Infinity War, bro. I thought Homeboy was gonna destroy all of Xandar, and there was gonna be one Nova Corps guy left.
Mm-hmm.
He was gonna put on the helmet and come and tell us what's going on, and it never happened. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. Guys like Drax, who I know have a huge part in Annihilation, Thanos, bringing out that whole family. Is it the Dark Order? The Dark. Thanos' people. I forget the name.
Oh, the Dark Order. Yes,
is the Dark Order?
I believe that's what they're.
It's also an AEW stable. So I was like, wait a minute. But yeah, man, the landscape of Marvel can be astronomical. In a similar sense, you know, like I always talk about, like DC always focuses on a certain set of characters, and they really need to like kind of break it open to be able to explore more about what that company is really about. Same thing here, and Hickman can do it. Hickman can, and he did it for the X-Men. Not to say the X-Men was had a shortage of good stories, but when tasked to redefine them for a new generation, he did it. So I sometimes I just wonder how he does so much. That's my main thing. Is like another one, another book, another miniseries. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Open the pathways.
And that's the thing. Being tasked with having to redefine or recolor, or in his case, right, because he's doing time travel, almost redefine the entire history of a certain part of a comic universe has to be crazy. And it can't be crazy. It has to be crazier to do the entire definitive history of a publication. But apparently, come June 25th, my man Mark Waid with Jerry Ordway is set to tackle the new history of the DC Universe #1. This is the definitive history of the DC Universe in celebration of 90 years of DC. Writer Mark Waid turns back time to the very beginning of the DC Universe in a 4-issue miniseries drawn by some of the greatest DC artists and told by the newest chronicler of all time, Barry Allen, The Flash. In our debut issue, Barry takes us from the very beginning, from the very birth of the DC Universe to the rise of the Justice Society. The golden age of heroes begins here. DC has a very confusing history, an absolutely confusing history, to the point that they were the first ones in comic publication to hit the reset button with Crisis and be like, everything's gotten too freaking crazy. We need to hit this button. Now, Mark Waid's done a terrific job compiling the history of the Marvel Universe, the new history of the Marvel, or the history of the Marvel Universe that he covered. I thought was fantastic and really tried to do its best to encompass everything we know and kind of put it on the same timeline. I'm interested how they do it here. But one thing that DC has always kind of wanted to do, but have a hard time doing, is this reintroduction to the JSA, bro. They do this every so often, and they're really trying to get it to bite. You know, there was a kind of a push when Stargirl came out because they were introducing the JSA in there. The JSA have their own series that I'm collecting currently. Jeff Lemire is doing it.
No. Yes.
Yeah, I believe it's Jeff Lemire.
Yes, it is Jeff Lemire. I apologize. Yes.
Yeah. Jeff Lemire is doing that. And so they like to keep these guys afloat. They're so integral to the history of this publisher, right? These are the heroes that started all of it, the Justice League as we know it, and everything moving forward. It's a unenviable task to take everything that they have. It reminds me of like almost in the Flash, the spaghetti metaphor of just like they have all these tangling lines of spaghetti, and he has to take his fork and kind of get it all on this in one bite. But he can do it. And thing is, I also really like Chris Samney. He's doing the cover art for this stuff. I really like his weird sort of like retro kind of flair with this. I really liked when he was tackling some of the Daredevil stuff that we were reading not too long ago. So like that return got me excited as well. But we are in many ways restarting the clock with the DC universe as it stands with Superman this year. We are introducing an entire new genre. I try to tell generation. I try to explain this to people. The 90s is the first decade without a Superman movie. No Superman movie in the 90s. Not a single one.
Wow. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Since the first film. First decade without it. So we have an entire generation of disaffected people who then their first Superman movie would have been Returns, which wasn't great. No. He was like a stalker and all that kind of stuff. And then we get Man of Steel, which is a great movie, but I don't know if it's necessarily a great Superman movie. Couple that with the Snyderverse, and we may not even have a great DC universe for those fans to look at and look towards. I think the Arrowverse did a pretty good job, but I mean, if you weren't paying attention to see what CW was doing, that version of the DC universe is the only one you have.
I can hear all the Zack Snyder fans yelling at us right now.
And like I said, I say this all the time. I love Zack Snyder's vision as an Elseworld story. My whole entire beef with that franchise was you can't tell an Elseworld story without us knowing how the regular people are first. So we need to get like a regular baseline version where everyone's not a psycho, and then you could tell as many psycho versions of the stuff that you want to, where you're shooting Jimmy Olsen in the face or whatever the heck is
Yeah,
going on in
yeah.
that universe.
Hmm.
Um, DC more than Marvel, in my opinion, is idealistic. I think Marvel leans to the human part of the comic spectrum a bit more. Flawed people trying to do the best they can with extraordinary responsibilities, and I feel like DC is more like the gods among us, right? That people to strive to be the perfect people that we hope to be and hope to walk in the footsteps of. And so with that being said, I really want this to be a cheery celebration of their history because I do think a lot of people think that DC has always been what they see on film because they think that they are a distinct different from Marvel. So if Marvel is jokes and fun, then DC has to be like depressing and dark and all. So I'm like, no, there's a lot of funny, really funny DC books and characters and storylines, but you know, when colored all with one brush, you know, you're never going to see it that way. So I know Mark Waid's got this, and it's funny because they even call him a super fan in this, and it takes a super fan to want to compile all this kind of stuff. This is like
Right.
this is like book Bible stuff, right? Like when you get on a book and they're like, here, you have to read this. This is everything that DC's ever done, just in case, you know, you're questioning about like what character, wait, when was the last time you left this character? When this character died? Whatever kind of stuff. So
Right.
compiling this in 90 years, bro. 90 years. We're going to live to see DC hit 100 years of
100
comics. So, boy, big thing to tackle, but I know Mark Waid's got it, and I'm excited about it.
No, Mark Waid is probably the greatest comic book writer alive right now. And I know there are people who, whoa, Jonathan Hickman and, you know, Dennis Camp or whoever you want to talk about. Mark Waid, his whole career, man, I can't think of a bad story he's written, and he's been doing it for, I think he's been doing it for like 50 years now.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a while, right? If maybe 40 years, but a while. I mean, Kingdom Come. I'm the Marvel super fanboy, but when people talk to me about what's the greatest piece of comic book that you ever read, I say Kingdom Come because it was just perfect between Mark Waid's writing and Alex Ross's art. It's the greatest piece of comic book medium that I've read from my generation. You know, people, what about Watchmen and V for Vendetta? That was before me. I acknowledge that it's great, but when you take those 4 issues of Kingdom Come and then you go, this Mark Waid guy, I'm going to follow him. Everything he's written has been fantastic. So for him to come across now and want to tell the history of the DC universe, I really can't think of anyone better. He already did it. He did a great job already with Marvel. So doing it with DC is going to be great. I'm just curious as to how he's going to do it. Is he going to take us through all the crises?
Right.
Right? Is that how you said it? That have happened? Yeah. Or is he just going to weave it into just one timeline where none of that stuff happens, so to speak?
Yeah, because it's interesting because that early Justice Society, you know, from my knowledge, gets moved over to Earth 2 through publication to kind of be like, well, are we coming back? Are we going back to like this idea that they were the progenitors, they were there from the beginning, and then they got overtaken by the Justice League? How do you explain their absences and stories? There's a lot of stuff he's going to have to answer for, and there's a lot of plot holes that he didn't create that he's got to take a cement truck over to and dump cement on there. But here's a little interesting piece of trivia that I think you'd be interested in. October 1985 will mark Mark Waid's first comic book story. So this year will be his 40th year in writing comics. 40 years. That's an embarrassment of riches, and I get he's touched almost every character you'd ever want to. Not to mention creating his own characters, right, with like Irredeemable and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, the guy's got it, and I don't expect him to do an absolute perfect job because it's so messy. But I know he will do his best because he cares, and that's the only thing I could care about as a DC fan.
You can't take 90 years of, like you said, spaghetti history and make it perfect. It's not. There are people who nitpick it. We're gonna have our angry nerds or whatever how you want to call them, or Zack Snyder fanboys who go, they didn't talk about this. He didn't quite do this perfectly.
Right.
And enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride.
100%.
So, but Speaking of great writers,
Do-do-do.
one of my favorite current writers, our boy Scott Snyder, Zack Snyder fanboys, who continues to do a fantastic job. Snyder fanboys over in the Absolute Universe with Absolute Batman, and we got Absolute Batman #9 with the return of Nick Dragotta, where he's introducing us to the Absolute Bane and the Absolute Arkham.
Yes.
It's not going to be Arkham Asylum. It is now this facility called Arkham.
Right.
Where in the Absolute Universe, Arkham is seemingly, possibly, we're not sure yet, creating villains. Not because they want to, it just seems like they lock people away and this is what's happening. So Batman is set to infiltrate it to figure out what the hell's going on at this place, because now he's finding a common thread with all the villains that he's encountering, including the Absolute Mr. Freeze. I almost said Sub-Zero.
Got cold on the brain.
Exactly. Absolute Mr. Freeze. And so he's starting to figure out, okay, where are these villains all creeping out from? But at the same time, the Absolute Bane is showing up, and he's not a fan, apparently, of Arkham. But not only is he not a fan of it, the original creator of Bane has also come out and said, I hate this redesign, which is all the more reason why I want people to put their eyes on this. This is a great jumping on point for Absolute Batman. It's the beginning of this new arc. So if you missed the first arc, and because the last series was just a 2-issue Mr. Freeze story, this is a great place to jump on. It's a great place to see the craziness that Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta are doing on this book, because this book is just absolutely insane. It's got Batman punt. It's got Batman punt kicking small children off of boats. It's got him impaling his villains in their eyes. It's got him driving massive concrete earth movers down the streets of Gotham City. Great book. It's insane. It just reaches into the depths of comic-hood that most books, like Scott's basically saying, this is not grounded. This is just fun, off-the-wall storytelling. And if you like that, then this is the book for you. And it's just going to get crazier, especially once you see, if you haven't already seen, what this Absolute Bane looks like. Yeah,
and I also think that from my knowledge of perusing the internet, Snyder's super excited for people to read this. He has been posting. He's sent early previews to comic book stores, to websites. He really there's a twist in this that he is really, really excited about. And yeah, I'm digging this whole Arkham, like a bunch of various different black sites that are prisons, but this one is seemingly like kind of off the books, kind of, there's something shady going on over there. And that almost makes more sense than a like clear as day evil like asylum. Like that almost makes more sense than just like, oh yeah, that's just a really shitty, psychiatry place, and it just keeps turning out villains. It would make more sense if they were mistreating people on an illegal black site, sort of prison thing. And I know for you, who like you said, you're self-admitted a Marvel guy. Your eye has to roll with the just enormity of Batman titles and Batman books out there. Wow. So the ability for you to like hunker down and pick one and like it means that it's different than the rest. Even when I first got in, I'm like, even the New 52 was running Batman Eternal, Batman the Detective, something, and I'm just like, where am I supposed to go here with this? Right. But this Absolute Universe has created a jumping on point for a lot of fans, and Snyder went on to write a very definitive modern take of Batman in the last 20 years. And what I love about it is that like he now gets to like almost take it apart by making this. It's one thing to like have the guardrails and be like, to make this hero that I have to write this hero that I'm writing, I have to kind of stick to this vision and stick to this origin and stick to this, rogues gallery. And the idea that they almost have a blank space to do whatever they want. And we've heard in panels that they've been given absolute, well, pun intended, control over their books. And they've been kind of told, like, write as if we're doing this forever, right? Craft your stuff. And I think what Hickman is doing for Marvel. Snyder's doing a lot for DC, especially with these new titles, especially with Batman. So yeah, I'm super stoked. I think I'm just one issue behind. I had just seen the Absolute Mr. Freeze reveal, but I haven't seen their like little squabble yet. And yeah, the Bane stuff. The Bane looks absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, I remember the artist feeling a certain type of way about it. And listen, I don't know if you are making a definitive different universe, if you want the blessing of the first people to make those characters, because if they gave it to you, then you would just be making their character again.
Right.
So
right.
like,
and that's the thing I'm loving about the Absolute Universe in general. I mean, every one of the heroes in the Absolute Universe is not like their regular universe counterpart. They're so different, especially like Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, that's been bonkers.
Yeah, bonkers. So I'm loving it.
I feel like to call him Martian Mind Effort, because I love that moment in that book.
That moment at the end of the book is just like, wow.
I was like,
it's so good. It's so good.
Absolutely. And then again, it's just like them dangling keys in front of a cat, because like we're over here, absolute, Green Lantern, over here, absolute Martian Manhunter, and then eventually all these paths are going to cross. They're not going to feel like such different secluded worlds anymore. Very similar to what we were talking about with Ultimate Invasion. So I'm excited to see where that goes up next.
Where are we going?
So, I always like to talk about new stories, new one-shots, new miniseries and stuff, but I also like to gush about things that I kind of stumbled upon and read and are excited for the next couple of issues of. And the book that surprised me the most last month, that wasn't even on my list, I might have been on yours, I'm not sure, but is Predator versus Spider-Man. I did a review of issue 1 on comicbookclick.com, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. But something about the cheery, careless nature sometimes of Spider-Man, with this incredibly gory and bloody artwork that they displayed in Spider-Man vs. Predator #1. I'm talking about faces being ripped off, gutted from behind, faces being ripped off and then put on as masks, all kinds of people being skinned and hung with their entrails falling out. There's a moment where they come upon a crime scene of criminals that have been dealt with by this predator, and it's like one's got a jaw missing, one's got a rib missing. He took one of their feet as a trophy or whatever. And the premise initially, I'm not going to get too spoilery, but the premise initially I thought was like any verses, right? Two things and they kind of come across on a path. This felt more like, oh, okay, so we're going to do kind of Kraven's Last Hunt, but with a predator. Like a predator has been like, I've hunted everything and now I have to hunt Spider-Man. And it's like, no, the predator is doing its own stuff in this book. It's Spider-Man that has to confront him as a murderer, because he's doing all these murders across New York City. So instead of like Spider-Man being cornered because he's being hunted, they're almost hunting the predator. And on top of that, all the illusions that everyone had when this book came out to Kraven's Last Hunt, seems like the hunter's involved in the story as well, which I think adds a little bit of, sprinkles to this. It's been so fun having these characters play around in these universes with the Predator and also
aliens.
And Benjamin Percy's having a blast too, writing all these.
A lot of fun.
Writing all these stories here. And I guess the reason why I leaned more towards this than like the Black Panther and the Wolverine is because I know that those characters will kill if push comes to shove. I know that if they have to end the threat, they will. And I'm really interested in how Spider-Man handles an issue like this. Wolverine and Predator are just two blenders plugged in and shoved up against each other. Whereas this is like, how does Spider-Man deal with this kind of stuff? And like I said, like we have all this deep lore stuff going on right now, right? With the constructions of the Absolute and the Ultimate Universe, these Ultimate Incursion, One World Under Doom, these big things. And then we're having like this wave of really kind of fun, popcorn flick kind of crossover events between the Predator stuff, between the Alien stuff, and then the Godzilla stuff that's going on in both companies right now. They're about to release Justice League versus Godzilla and Kong again, part 2 or whatever. while he's over on the Marvel Universe taking on, X-Men and the Fantastic Four and stuff.
And the Avengers, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a really, really fun time. And it's been a while since I've been sucked into one of these, and I recommend, if you are kind of getting stale with the taste of Marvel Comics at the moment, you just want something poppy, bloody, funny, check out Predator versus Spider-Man #3.
Yes, you hit it on the head. It even took me by surprise. I just knew going into it, I was like, wait, this is going to be a different take on the Predator thing, because this is not a Predator that's holds up to the honor that the other Predators fight with. This is a Predator who he's a murderer even amongst his people.
Yeah.
To the point where in this issue, the more Predators show up because they're like, yo, we
gotta handle his ass. Yeah,
what's he doing?
A bad name out for us.
Exactly.
Giving us a fucking bad name.
Exactly. We're an honorable race that goes around and murder and cut people's heads off. We don't do this whole jaw thing. What is going on here?
Yeah.
So this issue looks like where stuff is really going to hit the fan. You got Kraven involved. You can have more Predators involved, and I can just imagine in the middle of it all, Peter just being like, "Yo, can we just not kill each other?"
Yeah, really. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? And Benjamin Percy, like you said, this is a sandbox that he is just loving.
And it's one of those things stuff. Where it's like any mini event or whatever, like any mini series, you can only ramp it up so much. You have to resolve it. That's always the big thing, right? Like, you have to get by issue 3, we got to start getting some answers. We got to start getting some, because it's not meant to go on forever. So I always like that challenge. There's a bunch of writers that are absolutely exceptional when it comes to ramping up the tension, but then you have to resolve it. You have to get it to a conclusion on which people would like. And I don't think they would give Benjamin Percy another Predator book if he wasn't, able to do something like that. So
he's gonna hit it on the head, and I'm looking forward to whatever Predator story he tells next. Yeah, it's gonna be good stuff.
Him and Jeff, man, let's do it.
Yes. Heck yeah.
Predator and Jeff the Land Shark, let's do it. Sushi's
that is a duo I would love to see.
There you go.
Oh man! But speaking of guys who know how to ramp up a story and deliver an excellent conclusion, Daniel Warren Johnson.
Oh, right? Yeah, he's great,
guys. He's killing it on Transformers. Everybody knows his Transformers. You and I have talked about Transformers so much here on the channel. It's a great stuff. But Daniel Warren Johnson also tells great ending stories from his what we covered Do a Powerbomb. If I would highly recommend you read Murder Falcon. And
I just picked up Extremity in hardcover.
And Extremity, there you go.
I just picked up Extremity, yeah.
Great stories. He's also currently in the middle of writing a book called The Moon is Following Us. And the last issue is going to be coming out in June 4th. It's a 10-issue maxi series, you want to call it. It's a story of these parents who their daughter goes into this weird coma out of nowhere. They can't figure out why. But like any good parents, they're willing to do whatever they have to save her. The doctors can't figure it out. No one knows what's going on with this kid. But then out of nowhere, this Gandalf-like character shows up to be like, your daughter is stuck in the dream world, and the only way to save her is to go into her dream world and navigate her dream world to save her from whatever it is that's got her captive and pulling her out of the dream world. And the parents are just like, okay, let's do it. And they use the technology to go into this girl's dream world, and in doing so, it shows you what parents are willing to do to save their child. And when they go into this dream world, it's like any kid's dreams you can only imagine, where her toys are alive, and every nightmare she's ever had to deal with are the villains of the story, or any traumatic events she's had to deal with are the bad things of the story. But then certain things are not bad things, right? Certain things are, well, it was a bad thing, but she liked it. So
from the perspective of her, yeah, it's
a good thing.
Yeah.
So this story has had so many twists and turns, like any other great Daniel Warren Johnson stories. I mean, you and I had a great time covering Do a Powerbomb.
Yeah.
This story takes us through those twists and turns as well. You go through so many different emotions. You get into the psyches of all these of the mom, of the dad, of all the players involved who are trying to help save this child. the psychosis of it all, great stuff, and I cannot wait to see how it's going to conclude. Maybe in time we'll cover it as a whole story,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Daniel Warren Johnson, he just knows how to tell these great stories, and I really want people to I want to highlight the final issue. It's not too late to pick up the issues probably in your back issue bins, but if you want to wait for the trade, I guarantee the trade is probably going to be out within a month.
Yeah, just
Great
make sure
stuff.
you get the one without
Highly
the missing
recommend.
pages.
Get the one without the missing pages. Exactly. Exactly.
Daniel Warren Johnson has a very unique art style. I struggle to come up with the word for it, but the word that comes like this, like blaring in my mind, is dirty, but like in the best way, like scratches and
I
like
I call it kinetic. That's what I like
okay,
to call it.
I dig
It's
it, I
got
dig it.
it's got an energy to it.
100%, and his action scenes are amazing, absolutely amazing. He just did a very short story in Wolverine #8, which was Wolverine 800, I believe.
400.
400,
400.
sorry. I got the 8. And like it was the best, in my opinion, is one of the best stories in that
Mm-hmm.
issue.
Or
And
it just made me go. It made me just go. Yo, they better be giving Daniel Warren Johnson Wolverine. Like how? Oh my god.
yeah, but it's all this incredible action, very quiet moments that are heartfelt, and it's the same thing in Do a Power Bomb. Do a Power Bomb, if you like just written down on paper, sounds absolutely ridiculous, and it gets more ridiculous by the time you get to the final issue and what goes on. If I had to summarize just the final issue with you having no context of the story, you'd be like, "This is the most ridiculous thing ever," but it will make you cry. Like it will make you have very emotional moments. And when you explain the synopsis of the movement is following us, I think of like I think of two things. I think of one, there's this episode of Superman and Lois where their son who is neurodivergent, he's locked in his own mind, and his mother, who's always been the one to kind of pull him from his like almost his fits, has to go in. Like this is just another day, right? I got to go in
Right.
and I got to comfort and I got to bring them back to shore from the sea of confusion and all that kind of stuff. And it speaks to what you were talking about before about the lengths parents will go to do this kind of stuff. But what I'm most interested in is this aspect that you're talking about her memories and her fears being manifested in her dream world, because that also means that some of those traumatic events were caused by her parents. So some of those traumatic moments were caused by her parents. So like how must it feel to have their own perspective of events and then see their child's
Yeah.
memory of it, recollection of it? Because all our memories are flawed. We all got it from our perspective with our little bit of context as to what happened. You know, I'd be like, oh, like I had a bad day because I stubbed my toe, and someone else like, yeah, I had a bad day. My entire family got hit by a car or something. You know, like context is
Mhm.
is key.
Yep.
So to a kid, it's like, oh, that was the worst day ever in my life. I didn't get that hot dog I wanted. And it's like, yeah, we didn't get that hot dog because your dad lost his job and fucking,
Right.
like, and we
Right.
had to, and we couldn't just get you everything you wanted. So that as well, the idea that kids sometimes don't realize the lengths that parents are willing to go or have gone.
Mhm.
The parents strive for normalcy. They strive for the kid not to know that there's a lot of work going on in the background, that every day is just settled and calm. And but to do that, a lot of work has to be done by these parents to set a level of normalcy. And I think almost every parent kind of would love to get the perspective of their child as to what's going on, because I don't think kids really offer that stuff all all willy
Yeah.
nilly. They're just living their life and moving forward. But this gives you a snapshot about how some of your actions, even with the best intentions, can be skewed in another person's perspective. And what happens when that other person is a loved one who you care about, who you want to feel, appreciated and all that kind of stuff. So you have given more emotionally charged recommendations than anybody on major issues and like that. You always find the heartstring tuggers. So I know that this is going to be killer, and I can't wait to collect it because I haven't found the Daniel Warren Johnson book I haven't liked so far. And
Right.
it's similar to the Hickman thing of it all. I just wonder how, like, there's so many writers in the past that is like, them for a book. Like they killed that book, and then they had like this miniseries or like they're really famous for that book. And we have a bunch of modern writers right now that are just pushing it out, just pushing out like these incredible resumes of work. That's why it's become harder and harder to pick these stories, because
Yep.
we're not picking like the good out of the worst. We're picking like the best out of the great, kind of on occasion.
Yeah,
And
the best of the best, baby.
yeah, and similarly, like we say all the time, like, these are our picks. But if you guys are reading anything currently that you know we need to jump on, things that are taking some twists and turns, please let us know, because we're trying to be the watcher here, but we can't see everything at all times. So if you're able to make some recommendations, let us know. But those are a hell of picks for this month. I'm very excited for this month. I gotta get another long box. My first long box is officially full.
Yeah, welcome to the club, sir. Welcome to the club.
We're here. I'm like, I don't think I can fit anymore.
No, oh my god. Welcome to the club. I mean, and that was just the stuff we got. I mean, and I had to, it was like choosing between your children. I'm sitting here going, Marvel's got all these other great books, and Image has got these good books. I didn't even touch about, Dynamite and IDW. There's so much. There's so much.
Exquisite Corpses seems to be doing freaking well and amazing.
Really well. That first issue is getting a lot of attention. What's his name? That Patton Oswalt just gave a glowing recommendation for the book that he read himself, Exquisite Corpses. So I mean, there's so much stuff out there, guys. Let us know. Let's have this conversation. Let's keep it going.
Yes, and we do this each and every month if this is the first episode that you're seeing. So this is coming out just in time for you to pick up some of the picks that we come out with this month, and then we'll be doing one every month till the end of time, hopefully, and kind of picking out these stories. But this is not the only thing we do. If you're new to Comic Book Click, we have the Major Issues podcast where we record. Comes out an audio version every Thursday, but we have a video version that comes out. On top of us making these monthly picks, you make weekly picks. And you put out a video each and every week, your hauls, where you pick up the books that you're interested in, the series that you've been reading, and you kind of give fans a look into why you've picked these books and why these are books that they should be interested in. We're doing 5 Fast Facts right now to try to push new information on heroes and villains and teams and concepts in comics that you may not be aware of while they make their big debuts. Like we just did one on the Hood for Ironheart. There's one on Valentina de Fontaine for Thunderbolts, and we're really trying to push that stuff moving forward. More video content. Our social media is going bonkers. This is really a really fun time to be in Comic Book Click because I've been able to give more of my time and effort towards it, and it's only been paying us back tenfold, and it's because of you guys following us at facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram at Comic Book Click, or using that hashtag Comic Book Click to follow us and the newest, hottest, and latest and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. If you'd like to help us out, I'm always down for that. You can become a Patreon at patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse, where for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, you help us afford the hardware and the software we need to keep making this content free of charge, because we're not charging you for any of these things. We have multiple video series, multiple audio series, and live streams of the Major Issues podcast that we're recording, and even more projects coming into the future. So if you would just like to help us out a little bit, that will help us out so much. I often equate it to a couple of dollars buys me dinner, so I could not have to cook for an hour, so I could read for an hour, to then cover the books that we want to talk about here. So every little bit helps. Those who have been helping, thank you guys so much. And for absolutely free of charge, just tell people we're doing this. Tell people who would like that we're doing this, that we are doing this. The rising tide raises all ships. As we get into a renaissance of comics, it's just going to make Comic Book Click even better as we head into our 10th year next year. So this is fantastic stuff. But that's all I've got for this episode of Major Previews. Anything else you want to tell the fine people?
Just keep following us, guys. As always, just like the Don said, if you can't afford to even throw us a couple dollars, it's fine. Just hit those likes, shares, comments. Let people know we're out here, because we want to keep these conversations going. We want to get them bigger and bigger.
Yeah, man. So get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. I've been to the future. We do become the latest and greatest thing to happen. Can't tell you how we do it. So you guys got to just get on board. And yeah, we will see you guys next month for July. God, I can't believe this year's just... This year's just going by. So always remember to follow us. Join us next month. Always remember to respect your local comic book store. Remember to pick up your books. Right. I'm talking to you. You know who I'm talking to. Pick up your books. And Always remember, from George Serrano, aka the Don, and Alex Garcia, aka the Cog, always remember that you, yes, you are worthy. Thanks, guys.